Netanyahu is in the Likud party. If you read the Likud's charter, they believe in the Greater Israel Project. And Netanyahu, by the way, said during an interview with an Israeli channel, I-24 News, that he does believe in and is pursuing the Greater Israel Project, which expands the land that Israel has, certainly past, Green Line Israel into Gaza and the West Bank, but also to parts of Syria, parts of Jordan. It's this expansionist policy that is going to drag the United States in this costly war on behalf of a foreign country that really, it's trying to expand its empire. And I want to know, why are the American citizens responsible for essentially helping a foreign country build its military, build its empire, to the detriment of Jewish people across the world, by the way, and to the detriment of the American people who are really struggling here, but yet we are expected to pay for these weapons and these bombs and, guns, everything you can imagine for the IDF. I think it's unacceptable. So I have moral issues with it, considering how many innocent people have been killed already. And I have issues with the fact that, we have an administration run by a president who purported to be America first, but he's sending over quite a few of our resources to wars abroad, including for what Israel's doing right now. That's my issue. And I think I should be allowed to be as critical of that as possible.
Wow. So she just said a lot here. So Anna Kasparian, new video on her take. I thought it was a great, fantastic interview, and I want all of you to watch this as well. I put together all the highlights into this short video. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. So a few things she just said right now. She said that the Likud party, check out their charter and their expansionist policy, and Benjamin Netanyahu said he supports the Greater Israel Project. This is extremely important because a lot of people, a lot of the Israel supporters will say, oh, look at those Palestinians out there chanting death to Israel and river to the sea. River to the sea, we saw that in the Likud party first, where they said they want Israel to be from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. And as Anna Kasparian just rightfully mentioned, yeah, the Greater Israel Project, they're trying to take over some of Jordan, some of Egypt, some everything and anything over there that Israel can get their hand on. That's their ultimate goal as well. So why isn't that called death to the Palestinians?
Back to the heart of this story, right? Which is the threats against people like me for saying the kinds of things I'm saying right now. Number one, I'm an American. Number two, you're not going to shut me the fuck up. You're just not. Okay, I get to enjoy Anna, my constitutional protections.
Anna,
that's it.
That is not a surprising statement from you. I love it. Let me ask you though, Anna. Let me ask you. Yeah. It's important. Look for a second, October 7th. This is one of those buttons where you go stop everything. You came in, you killed children, you killed people in their pajamas, you killed families, and you took a bunch of hostages, including children, old people, and everything else. And by the way, used all that money from Qatar to build 500 miles of tunnels, an underground army, and all that stuff. The question then becomes, let me ask you, what would have been for you an acceptable response for Israel? Because when you fight in that kind of close quarters combat, it's and when Hamas is wiring a lot of those buildings, booby trapping those buildings to begin with, it's very, very difficult to conduct warfare without taking massive casualties. When those tunnels are booby trapped, when those houses are booby trapped, it's when people are sniping at you. It's pretty much. I've talked to a lot of tier 1 special forces guys who are they don't really have a dog in the fight. They're like, dude, you can't fight that war without leveling those buildings.
There have been other special forces.
Okay, so a few things I want to say to his point. First of all, what Anna Kasparian said earlier about Donald Trump being America first, total lie to everyone. Total lie. Not America first. Definitely Israel first and the status quo as originally mentioned. Now, this fella here, Bryan, he's saying, oh, they have 500 miles of tunnels because of the money that Qatar gave. Someone prove that to me. Someone prove that. Because the fact of the matter is, I don't believe anything that Israel says anymore because no one's allowed to go into Gaza to verify. Why aren't any Western journalists allowed into Gaza to verify? How do we believe any of this crap, man? Oh, Hamas is doing that, Hamas is doing that. There's underground tunnels, so we have to take over. How do you believe that? Second of all, how did Israel go ahead and destroy Hezbollah by just putting beepers in them? 10-year project, very specific. And they were able to kill a lot of leaders in Hezbollah, very specifically, very strategic attack. You're telling me, and they shot up some leader in an apartment, just got his room. You're telling me they can't be strategic enough to do a better job than this? And come on, man, this ain't World War II. Military equipment is next level now. They got drones flying all over Gaza. They know where everyone is all the time. They got weapons on these drones. They could get rid of Hamas leaders like that. They don't want to. That's the thing. They just want to destroy Gaza.
Or members who have been part of, special forces or have conducted those types of operations who say the opposite. I'm not a military expert, so I'm not going to purport to know what's right and what's wrong. But here's what I know. Here's what I know without a shadow of a doubt. Okay. The IDF's internal documents, which were just obtained by an Israeli magazine, 972, indicate, this is the IDF's documentation, indicate that 83% of people killed in Gaza, civilians, 83%.
I believe it.
Okay, that's unacceptable. Okay, that is unacceptable. This is the reason why in every interview featuring an Israeli diplomat or some Israeli, mouthpiece propagandist, when they're asked specifically, okay, what is the civilian to combatant death ratio or kill ratio? You get a different answer, or you'll get some evasive nonsense because they know what the reality is. This is about wiping Palestinians out from that land, whatever remains of the Palestinian people. I mean, they're talking about it out loud. That's the thing that frustrates me. I don't know why Americans refuse to take what the Israeli government says out loud seriously, because everything they said that they were going to do from the very beginning, they're doing. They don't see these people in Gaza as human beings, whether they're children, whether they're women, whether they're elderly people. So yeah, October 7th was awful. Hamas committed atrocities in Israel. There's no question. But there are some big questions that need to be answered, including why did it take hours, literally hours, for the IDF to respond and save people's lives? We're talking about one of the most sophisticated militaries. You now have IDF soldiers. I'm not saying this. This is testimony on camera from IDF soldiers who say that they were told to stand down on the morning of October 7th. What is that about?
It's just disgusting. 83% civilian kill rate. I heard somewhere, I'm not sure exactly how accurate this is, but they said even that 83% is probably wrong because they consider anyone over the age of 15 to be Hamas. That's their criteria. If you're over 15, you're Hamas. So the fact that 83% of them are civilians, it means 83% of the people they killed are probably under the age of 15. That is horrific. That's disgusting. I don't know how people look at all these people on the video, man. They're all just staring how has it not clicked in these people yet? I don't understand. What's stopping them from believing this and seeing this? Are they not watching the videos everyone else is watching? And this guy, Bryan, he's about to defend Israel. You can just tell by his body language or his face.
I think so, Anna. I just don't believe
it's not me saying it. It's literally an IDF soldier who's testifying about it.
The idea that they allowed the Palestinians to come in and kill 1,200 of their countrymen is very cynical.
You do not know Israel, my friend. You do not know Israel. They are known to perform tactics like this.
I just don't buy it.
Brian, there was literally a New York Times expose on this, though. I wasn't going to cover this segment, so I didn't pull up the link. But the New York Times reported that they had advanced knowledge of this over a course of a year. This is not something that just, suddenly happened.
Whoa. This Lindy Lee chick is confusing me now. I thought she's the pro-Israel and anti-Palestinian one. She's a flip-flopper, man. I never know what mood she's going to be in today.
No idea. This is not just the IDF saying. This is actually, the New York Times is still considered to be the most venerable media institution in America. So, and I also wanted to follow up on something you said. It's not necessarily about Israel's survival. I want to be very specific here. It's about Bibi Netanyahu's survival.
Yes, I agree.
This is such an important point. And that is why he also fought so vociferously for Trump's reelection. Because he knew
I would agree with you.
He would have more of a blank check to do whatever he wanted.
But I would agree with you, Lindy, if Netanyahu hadn't been consistent his entire life. Bibi Netanyahu was part of Sarayat Matkal. That is like the equivalent of Delta Force he was in the same unit, I think, as Ehud Barak. He's been fighting on the front lines for Israel. His brother was killed in Entebbe. His father raised him to realize that the only way forward for an Israeli is through strength. He's always been very consistent as a warrior. He's always looked at the world as a very dangerous place.
He has been, but he hasn't had all these allegations and corruption scandals and everything. Before the war started, this guy was about to be voted out. Like, this was very real before this whole war started. So yeah, it might have been true that he was always a tough guy and always just trying to kill everybody. There's no doubt that he was very close to being voted out or just taken out of government until this war happened.
And if you are not strong as an Israeli, you die and cease to exist. That I think Netanyahu has philosophically been very consistent.
Okay, Bryan, respectfully, just because he's been consistent with this barbarism, does that absolve his barbarism?
It's I suppose, you know, I always think about what it's like to be a warrior, and I go back to that thing where you have to be. It's a world where you have to forgo who you could be for who you have to be, and maybe that's what I'm looking at.
I'm just trying to understand. Are you saying that because
What is this romanticized becoming a warrior thing? No, that is not what Israelis are doing. They're not being some brave warrior. They're killing women and children. Let's get that straight. And they're killing women and children with superior weapons. There's snipers behind, miles and miles away, safe, or behind drones or behind computers shooting rockets. Like, come on, man. These guys are not brave warriors like back in the day. Stop romanticizing it.
because he's been brutal over a course of decades, it's okay? I just don't think so. I'm somebody who is deeply sympathetic. Like they couldn't have found a potentially stronger ally, but every single thing that they've done since October 7th has made me recoil at best and be horrified at worst. And I want to say that there's an Israeli embassy in New York reached out to me and offered me a free trip to Israel that I declined. I suppose that they were trying to recruit me. They said that they weren't expecting anything but for me to keep an open mind.
Lindy, I also learned.
Dang, man, I wish I got offered one of these trips. Shoot, I'd take it. I'd go to Jerusalem. Man. Anyways, this Lindy Lee chick, I have no idea what side she woke up on today, because I swear I've seen one of these podcasts in the past and she was on the totally opposite side. Hey, man, we'll take it. We'll take it. I don't know what's going on here.
The mission was to recruit me as a potential supporter because they know, I'm very vocal online. But I'm just not going to be a propaganda piece for anybody. That's just not who I am.
Anna, you're getting actual death threats. Wow.
Yes. I mean, look, getting death threats is kind of part of the job to some extent. But I noticed that I was getting like this massive influx of very specific death threats in like my DMs, some emails. And I was just like, what's going on? Because obviously this tends to happen when there's some sort of campaign against you or there's a group targeting you. And so I did a little bit of digging and I found out that the group that started targeting me with social media posts was Canary Mission, which is one of these pro-Israel groups. And they really do spend much of their time, targeting specific critics of Israel. And I want to be clear, critics of Israel. They then smear them as like anti-Semites, even though the individuals, myself included, are very careful to say the Israeli government, this is what Israel's doing. This is, do not, make this a commentary about the Jews. In fact, I've spoken out against that, as you ladies know. There was, I'm not going to get into details, but there was a guest pitched for our show who I find to be an issue in regard to anti-Semitism. And I think I was like the most vocal one in not wanting to have that person on. As you can see, they target even Jewish Americans who are critical of what Israel is doing right now in Gaza and the West Bank, by the way. And so this organization has targeted others, including that Tufts University student who was here with a student visa, Rumiesa Ozturk. The reason why they targeted her specifically was because she co-wrote an article, an op-ed in the student newspaper. I mean, if it's in the student newspaper, you can imagine it's not going to say disgusting anti-Semitic things. All it did was criticize what Israel's doing and bring up the possibility of divesting from companies that are assisting Israel in carrying out, mass slaughter in Gaza, annexation in the West Bank, stuff like that. Look, the federal government has even admitted working closely with Canary Mission to punish critics of Israel. So Peter Hatch, an agent with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, said the department had assembled a specialized group dubbed a Tiger Team to work on removing pro-Palestine college students from the country, which everyone should be outraged on or about, regardless of where you stand on this issue. Because if you're simply protesting, or if you simply have an ideology, but you're doing no harm from believing what you believe or protesting what you're protesting, you should have the right to do it. But in this case, if you're critical of Israel's, assault on the Palestinian people in Gaza, this group will work with the federal government to try to do away with you if you're here with a student visa.
That's disgusting. That's honestly disgusting. I mean, total attack on our freedom of speech, on And the fact that Donald Trump is okay with all of this, just disgusting. Overall, like, I can't believe this is the America First president. This is what it's become. So if you criticize Israel, you know, if you have a green card, those guys are brave, man. You could go to jail. Insane courage. And all they're doing is just protesting. Like, what is going on here? How are people not outraged on this? So, like, if you speak, and how are people able to say that Israel is losing the propaganda war? Look at all the tools that they have. They're getting the federal government to work with like TSA and stuff to cause issues to people that are pro-Palestine. They're able to work with social media companies and ban social media accounts. Canary Mission, like, how crazy is that, man? Like, do Muslims have something like that? I don't think so.
Now, Peter Hatch indicated to the court that some tips about students were communicated verbally before explaining that the team had also combed through nearly 5,000 profiles that Canary Mission had compiled of Israel's critics. Wow. And so if you go on their website, they basically have like a hit list of people, myself included, that get targeted by unhinged maniacs who want to like literally kill you. And I'll get to some of the death threats in a minute. Now, Haaretz, which is an Israeli newspaper, recently revealed that Israel is using the information found on the Canary Mission site to ban entry into the country of some people or some of the people the website follows. So that's really what's going on. But like I said, I welcome their hatred because I'm an American. And as an American, I have the right to be as critical of a foreign government or my own government as I want to be. So their targeting has led to these serious threats. I'm going to go through some of them.
It's crazy that you can criticize America and no one bats an eye, but you criticize Israel. It's like, oh my God, wow, what a big deal. And, you know, I was just watching PBD podcast. I just made a video about how I unsubscribed to them. And they said something about, oh, you know, if you criticize the pro-Palestinians, you get all these death threats. Look at the gaslighting there, bro. Like, if you criticize Zionism, look at all the death threats you get there. It's the same thing, if not worse.
Here's, by the way, here are the public comments about me, toward me, on one of Canary Mission's social media posts. So one person says, "You will meet your demise for all the unjust damage you have caused, just like Candace Owens. It will be your turn soon. Those who hurt Jewish nation historically, whether collectively or individually, receive their brutal karma sooner or later. Your time will be up soon." Oh, wow. What is that supposed to mean? Here's a more simple message. Slaughter you, bitch. Again, these are the public comments on one of the posts. Here's another one. "I will kick your ass if I see you, bitch. Go to Gaza, bitch. Let's see. You are a Nazi, bitch. F you." And
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
There's more.
I don't know why I'm doing it on this one because it's so funny. I feel like we need a comedian to address this first.
Well,
It's so ridiculous.
I mean, the fact that she's laughing is kind of disgusting. And also, I mean, at this point, it's the internet. This kind of stuff is just expected. That's the sad reality of it.
I do think, once again, that Israel is an existential struggle for the Jewish people. It always has been.
Wait a minute. Are you justifying these statements? Hold on, Brian. Where are you going with this?
One more quick.
Hang on, 1 second.
That doesn't mean, Anna, that you don't say, hold on, who are we? If children on this magnitude are actually starving, if this many people are dying and suffering, as a people, who are we? Can we stop all of this for a second and make sure that kid, I don't care about all the debates, that kid's belly is empty and he's bleeding from his stomach or something like that, and I want to fill his belly and take care of that child. That's a human thing to do. So again, your outrage is important.
I think the point that 2 seconds. The point that Brian's trying to make is that there's a whole second side to this that we're not telling, and it's important because it provides context. You are all correct, as Brian just said, in being outraged at children and innocents being slaughtered. You know, the counter argument to that is, why are we only criticizing Israel for it? Where is our outrage where this is happening throughout the rest of the world? How come when the Jews do it, it's suddenly a problem? And they make a good point that
it's not a good point. Like, are you that ignorant of the situation? Do you watch any videos on this topic? I know for a fact Anna's answer is going to be, we don't fund that crap. We fund Israel.
Outrage should be applied evenly, not selectively. The history of this.
So what's the justification for what's happening in the West Bank? Like, I'm just curious.
There's no justification.
Agreed.
I mean,
Okay.
so here's the thing. I hear people say that, like, okay, Zionism simply means that, like, Jewish people have the right to exist and the right to their land. Like, my roommate is Jewish, and so when I say there are people who are anti-Zionist, she's like, well, why is that? It's just the right to the land. But from my understanding and what you're saying, Anna, and especially with the admission of the greater Israel project and the expansionist agenda, that this is not possible for them. Israel cannot exist essentially without the slaughter and genocide of Gaza. At least at this point, that's what it seems to be.
And I just disagree that a nuclear power, Israel, which is backed by another nuclear power, the United States, and by the way, of course, the United States is a military superpower that Israel enjoys the backing of. I just flatly reject the idea that Israel is fighting for its survival. If anything, Israel has been treated very differently, has enjoyed a double standard in the international community as opposed to every other country, including our own. I mean, the war crimes that were committed by our military after 9/11 really pale in comparison to the war crimes that we've seen carried out in both the West Bank and in Gaza. And so I flatly reject that this is about Israel's fight for survival. In fact, I think what Israel is doing right now really jeopardizes its survival, because if you look at younger generations in the United States, both left and right, they're horrified at what's going on. They're angry about what's going on, and they no longer want to support Israel. So eventually, Israel's days of enjoying just flat support from the United States, no matter what, that will end if they continue the conduct that we're seeing right now.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, I think polls show almost every demographic has switched over from support for Israel. Every demographic has reduced in their support for Israel and has gotten more anti-Israel, except for the boomer Republicans, which have pretty much more or less stayed the same. They haven't increased. They might have even gone down a little bit, but very little bit. And yeah, I mean, the TikTok generation is definitely so anti-Israel, probably the most anti-Israel generation that America has seen in a very, very long time. And what happens when they get into politics? I mean, I don't think it's going to be a Democrat or Republican thing. I think both sides are not going to be pro-Israel. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Israel does, knowing that their blind support is going to be gone soon.
Yes, in Gaza, yes, in the West Bank. But let's also not forget they're annexing land in southern Syria right now as we speak. And so I'm not going to treat Israel as if it's like this special country that gets to do whatever it wants on the international stage. They're carrying out war crimes, if they're carrying out actions that we've been very critical of when other countries, let's say Russia, do it, why does Israel get a pass exactly? And more importantly, why is it incumbent upon the American taxpayer to bankroll these atrocities? That's my issue here.
You know, every time people talk about that, and I watch your passion, and man, I really appreciate it. I just think to myself, man, like my friend said, you should use your platform to speak up about the Israeli Gaza war. And I said, you mean I'm going to post something or say something that's going to make a difference in that conflict that's been going on since Moses had a parting of the ways with the Pharaoh? And this is what these college kids at Harvard and Columbia, you think their aggressive shadow dancing and drum circles are going to get the Israeli military to be like, we got to wrap this up. These kids are going to school. You know, so this from so many Israelis is truly an existential struggle. And it may...
I've heard him call this an existential struggle like 10 times already. The fact of the matter is, look, the protests in these college campuses and all over the world are working. Like, the support for Israel has gone down dramatically in the last few years. And this was never the case in me following American U.S. politics for so long. So it has definitely made a difference. Let's not deny that. I think the BDS movement has definitely made a difference. Israel's definitely lost money. Companies like Starbucks and all these have definitely lost money.
Team, and I understand what you're saying, divesting and things like that. But if Israel doesn't have American support, if it doesn't have the support of the West, they go away.
Well, they have to fight their own battles. Right now, they're bullying everybody. Like, come on, let's not act like, oh, they're just using America for help because without them, they will cease to exist. No, they're taking advantage of America. No normal country goes and fights 7 countries at the same time just because. They're only able to do it because we enable them to do it. Like, maybe, just maybe, if America didn't support them blindly like they do right now, they would be forced onto the negotiating table and maybe make peace with their neighbors, like normal people, like every other country has to.
And I think it's very important to understand that mindset. Look.
I think our support should be conditional. And the condition is you can't do this expansionist policy. You can't keep stealing land. You can't keep slaughtering innocent people. I think there should be conditions set in regard to U.S. support of Israel. And if they know that it's an existential threat, then stop slaughtering innocent people. It's not that difficult.
But let me ask you.
I'm in complete alignment with you here. I'm very America first. And I cannot believe that we are still betting this years afterward. And, at first I was just spending my own.
Lindy Lee is America First today. I don't trust this chick, man. She changes up every day. Anyways, make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying this video so far. Only about 6% of you are subscribed to my channel. A lot of you just view it, forget to subscribe. Just press the subscribe button. It takes 1 second. Now let's continue.
Judgment here, but things have gotten progressively worse, even in the last couple of months. And one thing that I really want to draw people's attention to is the fact that Bibi Netanyahu ignored intelligence prior to October 7th.
Yes, twice.
Was coming. He ignored it, which leads me to believe that perhaps he might have even wanted it, because there's such a thing called wag the dog phenomenon. When your country is attacked or when you have a common enemy, a la 9/11, you get to rally the country behind you. And what did he want to distract people from? His own prosecutions. And by and large, he's been pretty successful in distracting the country from his own legal woes. Now he's being heralded and hailed as he travels around Israel. People don't want him to face justice anymore. So there's a huge element of self-interest here that we cannot overlook. And I do want to say something. You talk about the Canary mission. They've discredited themselves. Their tactics reek of Joe McCarthy. The way that they target people simply for criticizing a government is absolutely unacceptable.
Right. And I want to say really quick on that, because I actually shared this post into our Her Take group chat, something that I saw where Anna and Cenk were recounting this information. And the person who shared it, their statement I agree with entirely. How despicable is this that no one is reporting on this right now anywhere in the mainstream? Can you imagine, had it been any other group of people receiving death threats, any other voice from the liberal or progressive community who are receiving these death threats, the amount of rallying and virtue signaling that would have gotten behind them. But because it's Anna speaking out about the genocide in Gaza, and I will say that, at the end of the day, what I really despise about this whole thing is they have found a very clever way to lump anybody who is against children being slaughtered in with pro-Hamas terrorists. They've done that in a very clever and very evil way, to where it seems like it's this one or the other thing. It's like you're either pro-Jewish or you're with the terrorists, right? May I propose a different solution? No, we are not. This is very, very clever by design that they have set it up to appear in that way. And as somebody who is pro-life, vehemently pro-life, I cannot stand here and say with human decency that I am not vehemently against the slaughter and execution of the children that's playing out on a mass scale in Gaza. And it's ridiculous to me that anybody who says that, who even dares to utter those words, are painted as like an anti-Semite or mentally ill. I remember when Theo Von took to his podcast to try to talk about this, and a bunch of publications painted him as mentally ill.
Oh, I know Theo Von. I know Theo Von. So I've been listening to his podcast a lot more lately, and he doesn't actually talk about politics often. He's really funny, and what stands out to me about Theo Von more than anything, man, that guy has like a very lovely, soft heart, and
That's so true. I recommend everyone to watch his video where he interviewed the doctor who volunteered in Gaza. That one broke my heart, man. It was very tough to watch, but I think everyone should make it a duty to watch it just to know what's going on out there from someone who is actually there in Gaza. Pretty much only doctors from the West are allowed there right now. So go
and I
watch
love
it.
seeing that when it comes to especially male podcasters, because I do think that there's like this stereotype that all male podcasters are bros and they don't feel anything. And the thing with Theo Von is he's not political. He just sees what's happening and he knows it makes him feel some sort of way. And he wanted to like voice his opinion on that. But no, look, I don't begrudge other media figures for not jumping to my defense. I think people are afraid. They don't want to be a target.
They do want us to move on.
Yeah.
Well, their argument is release the hostages then.
Yeah.
Release. You want it to end?
As a-
Release
as a
the
man?
hostages.
Yeah.
Release them.
So what's this collective punishment then? We're going to kill all these civilians, women and children just because Hamas has the hostages? That makes zero sense. And also, Israel's made it very clear that even if they release the hostages today, the war's still gonna go on. Don't be ignorant. Don't be naive. I don't know who that chick is. Jillian. Stop it. Stop it. Read about this whole conflict that's going on, because obviously everyone here is very ignorant on the topic.
Do we have okay? I think have you given final thoughts? Because we've gone on a long time about some of this stuff.
One last thing, there was an Israeli officer who said for every Israeli dead, there should be 50 Palestinian dead. And I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that
last week. So they don't even see Palestinians as equal human beings.
Death to the Jews, death to all Jews, globalized.
Yeah, but one side is actually doing it, Jillian. One side is not capable of doing it in any way.
This is I get it. It's horrifying. I just think when we're only showing the evil of one side, because we could be like, did you see what that soldier said? I could show.
Because the other side is just talking. They're not doing anything. They can't do anything. They don't have the power to. While Israel is actually committing these war crimes in front of our eyes. Both sides were just talking. One side is actually doing now.
It's similar.
Yeah, but
look, I wouldn't have a problem if Israel look, I wouldn't have a problem if Israel were specifically going after combatants. I do not believe that they're just going after combatants. When you have an influx of toddlers showing up at the hospitals, every one of which has been bombed, by the way, with bullet holes in the head, bullet holes in the chest, obviously they're being targeted by snipers. They're toddlers. You can't argue, oh my God, one side is evil and one side isn't. No, if you're talking about combatants and you're making that argument about, what's happening in Gaza, okay. That's a fair argument. But when you're essentially conflating the Palestinian people with terrorism, saying they're all terrorists, that essentially justifies the mass slaughter of innocent people. And that's what we're seeing. Again, 83% of the people killed in Gaza, based on the IDF's own documentation, are civilians.
And by the way, it's not just Palestinians and children. It's also Americans. World Central Kitchen.
Humanitarian workers.
What's his full name? People who are going over there to provide humanitarian help are being killed. These kitchens, these mobile kitchens are being targeted. What did they do wrong? What did they do to deserve the hell that Israel has rained down upon them? I just don't understand.
Someone tell me who gave Lindy Lee a platform, man, because I'm really confused. How did she get here?
Right now, Gaza is under famine. Number 5, as in it's not approaching disaster, it's failure. As in people will die no matter what, whether help comes or not. It's done. It's a travesty. I don't think you should be using famine as a war technique. I just don't.
I agree. Yeah.
No one disagrees with you guys. I think the point we're trying to make is let's not solely target Israel when all of this evil is occurring.
Hey, I hate Hamas too. I think they're fucking awful.
Biblical. It's biblical.
Anna, okay, it may be biblical. Wait, 1 second. I haven't had my final thoughts. It may be biblical according to the Schofield Bible. Anyone who doesn't know about that should look into it. And also, Anna, I just want to say, I love you. You are so freaking brave. You have more passion in your pinky finger than most people have in their entire bodies. And the fact that you are receiving death threat on death threat on death threat, and you show up in the camera, you're looking these people who are making these threats in the face, indirectly through the screen, and you're like, bring it on. I'm not going to shut up. I love you. And
thank you.